Have you ever opened your phone and you saw a reminder that you set for your goal in January and immediately started to feel like a failure? Maybe you were motivated in the beginning and now you've been juggling work and deadlines and notifications start piling up, group chats, all the things, you're doing everything and you're just still feeling disconnected? Well, this isn't laziness. This really is about your energy. Your soul is whispering to you, we're not on the same frequency. Hey there, beautiful souls, and welcome back to another Mindful Monday. I'm Arika Trimnell, your guide here at Prism Vibes, and today we're doing something a little bit different. A gentle mid-year reset, like real life. Not just your vision board, but you're feeling burned out, scattered, off your game, all the things as summer approaches. I want you to know that you are not alone. There are so many of us who are feeling a little discombobulated with everything going on. So, this is your space, our space to pause, to breathe, and to realign ourselves. We are going to be diving into three simple but yet soulful things that are going to help us realign and just release what's been weighing us down. You might have missed the spark or the zhuzh that you had at the beginning of the year to accomplish your goals. And to be honest, I'm practically there myself. And this healing journey and us being able to embrace every single aspect of our lives requires us to be just bluntly honest with ourselves. We are not masking, we are not bypassing here. So, wherever you are, I am so glad that you are here with me. Whether you are listening in your car, taking a break in between meetings, or just winding down at the end of your day, I invite you to join me. Let's reset together and let's step into the second half of the year with so much clarity and energy. This isn't a hustle culture, this is a heart culture thing. This is about our own frequency, our own alignment, our own step and rhythm. So today we are going to explore three soulful, mindful, and easy doable rituals that we can fit into our real lives. Even if you only have like 5 minutes in between meetings, trust me, a toddler can do this. So let's reconnect you to your own frequency today. So I know weird that school's out, routines are starting to shift. We can see it in the weather. Maybe you're now working from home and wondering, like, what day is it really? I'm like that. Astrologically, this Gemini Cancer transition season, for those of you, I'm a Cancer, so I definitely feel her. This season is really buzzing with all kinds of thoughts and deep feels. I don't know about you, but I've definitely had some very therapeutic releasing cries the past few weeks. And if you are feeling like you are stretched thin and your mind starts to wander, maybe your heart even feels like, what is it that I'm really doing? Your body is actually caught in this fight, in this struggle between the different frequencies. I like to call this like a little mid-year wobble. And you know what? It's not a problem. It's just a part of life. So today is our invitation to check in, not just with the world around us, but more importantly, to check in with ourselves instead of checking out. Because typically, what people would do would be bypassing with all the things that we could do outside in these streets, if you know what I mean. You know. So last June, I remember I had a client named Sarah who came to me and she was super exhausted. She was feeling this transition between the Gemini and Cancer, businesswoman, all about her goals, and she had crushed Q1, doing phenomenal. And then somewhere shortly after Q2, she really started to feel like her whole life was falling apart. And what we were able to actually uncover together is that Sarah had been chasing goals that just looked good on paper, but no longer aligned to who she was becoming. It no longer aligned to her frequency. She was actually operating out of old trauma patterns and trauma frequencies or the trauma imprint that we've talked about here before. And so what we did was create specific pauses. Now, we can call them rituals, we can call them pauses, we can call them whatever it is, whatever makes you feel comfortable. But we created some few intentional pauses in her life. We incorporated some breath work. We did just some habit tracking, just ways that we can integrate these pauses so that she can reconnect with her original frequency and start operating from her healed self versus her wounded self. And so to do this is really about creating those pauses. Again, we get into Q2 and something happens. There's a shift that happens. I'm pretty sure it's the energy around us where um we start operating, or we sometimes oh God, I was about to use the word backslide. Sorry, I was raised in the church, so that was the first thing that came to mind. But we start to slip into old, comfortable patterns that are survival patterns. And so in this point, awareness is key to be able to create those shifts that we need so we can step out of those survival patterns and into our thrive patterns that we've been working on all year. So once we were able to do this and create a plan together, when I worked with Sarah, she was able to be more present and respond to the energy that she was feeling in the moment versus the energy that she was carrying into situations based off of her trauma response. So hopefully that made sense, and maybe that even resonated with you. So one of the things that we can do, and I do, and I'm a huge proponent of, is of course sound, being able to use sound. And sound can even be silence. A sonic stillness where you have the sound bath at your desk, whether you're playing music either through your computer or you're leveraging your phone, all of the devices, all of the things, and incorporate maybe that sound with breath. The sonic stillness where you're able to check in with yourself. Again, thinking about things that we can incorporate in between those meetings, right? When you start to realize that window of tolerance you had at the beginning of the morning, now it's afternoon or midday, and you're like, I ain't got time for nobody. So this really helps, especially for those of us who like work from home and you've got the Zoom fatigue and your brain is really fighting the tight shoulders, and maybe the sit bones are feeling the type of way because you literally been sitting at your desk. You can use like a tuning fork, have that at your desk, and play that in between meetings, putting maybe do some coherence, putting the hand on your heart and your belly, and using that time to connect through your breath and through the sound frequency. I'm sort of doing that as I slow down to talk to y'all because I'm being very mindful, very demure, very intentional about the breaths that I take. Make sure they're deep breaths, while I'm also getting very much in tune to my voice. Like, no, like, and not to be like, a narcissist or anything like that, but just showing you different things that you can do. You can use your own voice. What better way? It's with you all the time. Granted, if you're like me and you're dealing with allergy season, it changes. So you get to pay attention to the changes, but you get to learn yourself better. But that's just me and my like geeky, nerdy ways. So, anyways, you don't necessarily need a meditation room, is what I want to say. You don't need this big grand gesture of stillness or a sound bath. You can literally do this between the Slack pings that hit you every single day. Plant steam reset. So even in like you could have a very tiny apartment, this is really good for mental fog, eye strain, and emotional overload, especially during, like I said, this Gemini Cancer access that we are in. So what you do is you're gonna boil a water with a handful of mint or basil is what you're gonna use, and you're gonna put that into a bowl and then put a towel over your head. So you've got this nice little container, this closed container, as I think about my science geeky self, and just literally inhale the steam maybe like 7 to 10 minutes, whatever you have time for. This could be done on your break or after you've eaten your lunch. The beautiful thing about this is that, mint really helps clear your mind, and basil is really good for soothing those emotional spikes that happen throughout the day. It's good to have. I keep basil water like on tap. That would be nice if that was a thing, but that might be a thing. Maybe I need to look into that. But I keep basil water on tap, so all I have to do really is warm it up and get the towel, spend a few moments, and to help with any emotional spikes that may or may not happen. But I've got my tool handy and ready to provide myself that reset. So just imagine, you've prepared this for yourself. It takes a few minutes to do it, and then just the clarity you get afterwards, being able to approach that meeting like it's the beginning of the day and you ready to get it. Okay. I'm just saying, you know. The third thing that I want to bring to your awareness or invite you to try is fire and flow. So this is a nighttime body release. So this is really great for stuck emotions or when you have that overthinking, that catastrophizing that might happen at the end of the day when we start thinking about all the things we could have done or should have done that day that we didn't do. Simple as get yourself a candle, play a song that like really touches your soul, that moves you. Maybe it's a song that for me, I think of I'm in this phase. My cousin introduced me to this like tribal meets what's like I don't like techno, and I'm loving the mix. And so allowing your body to just kind of move, flow, do some like ecstatic dance. No, it doesn't have to be a choreographed move. It doesn't have to be a, TikTok thing. Feel free to record it though if you do want some content, just putting it out there. Some people might be able to learn and we can share this together. We can share ourselves taking this fire and flow moment for ourselves to reset. So your body knows how to release. And so this is a way to use somatic practices, the fire and flow, to allow your body to release whatever it needs to release without saying a thing. Last week, we talked about the importance or why it's so hard to get through some things, especially when trauma is attached to it, because the way trauma impacts our brain and the parts that help us formulate words, and then also the fact that it doesn't really land in that place or space. So again, using somatics as a way to help you process and release that and align to that particular frequency. So thinking about, doing a frequency check-in with yourself, because that's essentially what we're doing with this reset. When was the last time you said yes when you wanted to say no? I'm so proud of myself. Last weekend, right? It's a big weekend, holiday weekend. People are doing all the things, the parties, whatnot. Had some invitations. And what sounded right for me was laying in the bed, bing, bing a bum. Just stillness sounded right. Netflix sounded right. That's what my soul called for, and I'm so grateful I did it because I get to, have that time to give that to myself and not feel pressured to do all of the things that society says we're supposed to do in in that particular time frame or during these moments. Remember, this is our life. We are the artist of this masterpiece that we are creating. And so we get the ability to create the piece how we want to. We get the ability to draw outside of the line, to create new lines, cover up old lines, all of the things. So I say that to say that, we have the ability to co-create in this. So with that, you being able to make your no's no's and your yeses yeses, how often do you feel like you are performing out of the version of yourself you thought you've outgrown or you say you've outgrown? Because that's a really good indicator of what areas still need that healing. Healing isn't a one and done, it's a reiterative process, So things like that are so crucial to just build that awareness and build that muscle. So when that comes up, You're not using judgment, but you're using love and compassion to pour into those areas of your life. Remember, we're checking in and not checking out. You know, ask yourself, what am I covering that I no longer, or what am I carrying that I no longer need to carry or prove? What's draining my energy lately, and what would make me feel even lighter? What frequency am I ready to step into in this particular moment, even if it feels unfamiliar, especially if it feels unfamiliar or if it feels uncomfortable? More than likely, that's a sign that this is an opportunity for us to grow. So answer those questions using that little frequency check in. Feel free to stop, rewind, go back, and listen to the questions again, write them down. Answer those questions and put them somewhere, tuck them away. And then, in a few days, come back and read that to yourself and see how that helps you transform the next 6 months of this year and how you go at it with a completely different energy, a more aligned energy, now that you've had the ability to reset and check in with your own personal frequency. That's right. So, you don't need to reinvent who you are. You are perfect just the way that you are. This summer, you don't have to get in, you don't have to have a summer body. If anything, that work you do on the external, may it be mirrored by what you do inside. And may it be a reflection of the work that you're doing inside that shows on your outside. What you need is really just to remember who you are. You're a badass underneath that, underneath all the noise. If no one's told you today, I'm telling you, you are a mofo badass. This is your mid-year reminder, your moment to check in, to realign to things that make you feel whole and attuned to yourself. Try one of these rituals. Do it maybe before you go to work, or in between your coffee. If ever you feel overwhelmed, know that you can always press pause and give yourself the break you need so that you can recalibrate your energy. If any of this resonated with you, drop a little love in the comments, share a ritual with a friend. Let me know what worked, what didn't work. We're about growing together. What works for me may not work for you, and vice versa. But at the end of the day, I think what truly matters is that we're here as a community to support one another. Thank you so much for being here with me. I appreciate you. Bye.